Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we're discussing the episode Billy. This episode originally aired October 29th, 2001, attracting approximately 4.18 million viewers. So this was the Halloween episode, which, I mean, okay. So,
No, on whole, with this particular episode, it matches perfectly fine for the Halloweeny sense of things. Because, oh,
I, I mean, I guess, but I feel like it's not really a Halloween episode, but we can talk about that later.
indeed.
Number one movie in America this week, Dave. Any guesses?
Hmm. Heading into Halloween of that year.
It's not. I mean, I guess it's like a kid's Halloween movie, maybe.
Yeah, I can't immediately think of anything pops out.
It's animated.
Uh, yeah, uh, that narrows it down. Haha. Nah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the one thing, but that would be too soon. I don't think they did that until a couple years later. Eh, nothing concrete in my head.
Okay, so number one movie in America this week with $62.577 million at the box office is Monsters Inc.
That's not surprising. It's also kind of the case of it's one of those particular ones that if you're not too much of a fan of it, it just kind of fades into the background of most other Pixar movies.
Yeah, I mean it's fine, I guess.
Because it works and the base idea of the movie is perfectly fine for what it is, but it wasn't anything jaw dropping like the previous movies or anything that's going to be coming afterwards.
Yeah, it's kind of a low point for Pixar, I would argue. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially with the stuff that would be done later on with this particular series.
See, I never saw Monster University or whatever it was called.
Yeah, but they took that route of things, which is, you didn't have an idea how to really go on from the first movie, did you?
Yeah, okay. So I think we're pretty correct in this because like the movie prior to this is Toy Story 2 and the one after it is Finding Nemo.
Yep.
And then they go off and they have this incredible run of movies where it's like Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, like there's a lot of good stuff.
Hmm.
I got to see more of these Pixar movies. There's a bunch here I haven't seen. Anyway, moving on to number one song in America this week. I'll give you a hint, it's not the same as last week.
Oh, Jennifer Lopez was dethroned from last week.
Yes.
Hmm. Again, thinking about that at the time, there's nothing that immediately comes to mind. It's not too much with the song artist or what was actually number one in comparison to what we were most likely listening to at the time.
I'm also going to tell you, I've never heard of this artist. Now,
Mm,
granted, I'm not really a music person, but I've not heard of this person.
mm.
Any guesses?
Yeah, still nothing.
Okay, so it's a song called Family Affair by Mary J. Bilge. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Blige.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so this episode for video games. Okay, so Jesus. Okay, so on the day this episode aired, we got two games.
Yeah.
So if you decided you wanted to play something on one of the home consoles, PS2, Xbox, or GameCube, you had the option to go purchase Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex.
Hey.
And if you're like, I'm going on vacation or whatever, I need something for my portable, on the same day on the Game Boy Advance, Spyro Season of Ice.
Ah, yes. Again, it's nothing that I've actually played, but remember with old, I believe it was Nintendo Power I remember seeing. They advertised like, oh man, these two series crashing together with all the things of stuff.
I mean, it makes sense. This is the first time that Crash and Spyro had made an appearance on a Nintendo console. I think.
Indeed.
I
It was
think.
that marvelous time of Nintendo being like, hey, we fought in the past, but do you want these particular icons to come to our systems to make a somewhat of a profit? It's like, yeah, we need the money.
Yeah, Nintendo's decided that because they weren't number one anymore, they would play nice with others.
Well, as nice as Nintendo plays in certain circumstances.
Well, this is true. Okay, so October 30th, by God, a lot got released this day.
It was the whole big, oh man, it's the end of October. Let's give them all the
Well,
things.
and then they dump a bunch on the 31st and on the November 1st. Anyway, October 30th. On Windows, we got Aliens vs. Predator 2. On the Game Boy Advance, we got Boxing Fever.
Eh.
Oh, Dave, this is the game I've been waiting for.
Duly noted, but still, eh.
No. On Windows, on October 30th, 2001, Civilization 3.
Ah, that makes more sense.
That, oh, whoa, I don't even know how many hours I put into that game.
Duly noted.
It's, oh. Still on October 30th, if you're like, I don't have a Game Boy Advance yet, but I need something portable, on the Game Boy Color, Mega Man Extreme 2.
Supposed need?
It looks like just like a standard Mega Man game from the screenshots.
Yeah.
And if you basically if you had either Windows, a PS1, or a PS2, and you wanted to, and you would, well, you wouldn't have seen it yet, but you were really excited for Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. Scream Team.
Yeah, supposed need? I think that was like the party supposed one.
Let's take a peek because I honestly didn't really look. Does it give a genre? No, it says it's a platforming game.
Oh. Well, if it wasn't one, it was most likely the other.
Yes. Okay. Finally, on October 30th on the Game Boy Advance, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival. Dear
Yes.
God.
Yes. Because Street Fighter 2 was the super big fighting game of the time, and everybody loved it, and they had to release it for everything several times over.
Okay, now moving on to Halloween Day, we have two games, and by God. So on the PS2, if you wanted something for that, Soul Reaver 2. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And if you're like, oh, I want something for my Game Boy Advance instead, Mega Man Battle Network.
Yes, very much indeed.
So you remember this series?
Only vaguely. It wasn't anything super big, but it was kind of the case of Mega Man's kind of gone off in a lot of different directions and are kind of like, what can we kind of do with Mega Man now? And it's like, how will we make him a computer program? It's like, okay.
Yeah, and the gameplay wasn't really a platformer. It was more of like almost like an RPG. It was kind of a interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
November 1st, we got Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies on the PS2.
I believe that was a plain one, or is that a fighter?
No, it's like a plain combat game.
Hmm.
Yeah. Again on the PS2 on November 1st. Oh my God. The first Burnout game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you hadn't upgraded to the PS2 yet, and you still had a PS1,
For some reason.
November. Well, this is still pretty early in the PS2. On the PS2, you could pick up Dragon Warrior 7.
Yeah, not ringing a bell.
It's Dragon Quest 7.
Oh, Dragon Quest 7.
Yeah, that we called it Dragon Warrior here in North America until like I want to say
Until
the
the
mid
H1, I believe it
2000s. I don't know, but yeah, for the longest time we called it Dragon Warrior for some reason. And
Yeah.
finally, on November 1st, if you had a PS1 or a PS2 and you really wanted to play a soccer game, FIFA Football 2002 was going to take care of you.
For the football games that you'd like to play at those times, and didn't evolve into the microtransactions that people online freak out ridiculously to.
because it's really bad. And finally, the last game for this week on the Game Boy Advance on November 3rd, Rocket Power Dream Scheme. And don't ask me what this is because the page doesn't exist on Wikipedia.
Duly noted. If I had to take a vague guess, I think it's based off that one Nickelodeon show, I think.
I could do. Let's Google it
And
quickly.
again, I wouldn't be surprised. Skateboarder
Oh,
type of
it
game.
does look very Nickelodeon. Uh, yeah, based on the Nickelodeon series Rocket Power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It has some radical looking dude on a skateboard on the cover. I don't
Indeed, it's skateboarder kids doing skateboarder things.
know. Okay. Well, that wraps up video games for this week, and that is a freaking hell of a week.
Indeed.
Alrighty, let's get into the episode.
Ugh.
Okay, this is a relatively short um, plot synopsis because really not a lot happens in the episode, but I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Angel teaches Cordelia how to sword fight so that she can defend herself if Angel isn't there to protect her, or if she needs to protect herself from Angel, if he goes all like Gur evil.
Yes, yes.
Lila finds Billy, the man Angel was forced to rescue from hell, in her office talking to Gavin Park. Lila tells Gavin to stay away from her clients, but Gavin attacks her, smashing her head into a glass, almost like it's like a bookcase almost, and strangling her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to get worse, Dave. Cordelia has a vision of a woman being beaten by her husband in a convenience store. Wesley gets surveillance photos from the crime in which they spot Billy. Wesley, Gunn, and Angel track down Billy. However, the police arrive first to take Billy into custody for phoning in a tip about the location of a murder victim. Lila reveals that Billy's touch turns men into vicious misogynists. Wesley and Fred examine Billy's blood cells through the microscope and observes that his powers in his blood, saliva, and sweat. They are affected by Billy's power and begin to fight. Angel tracks Billy's last location to a party at his cousin's house, where he discovers that Billy's entire family is aware of his situation and want him gone. Cordelia finds Billy waiting for a private plane at the airport. He's not interested in talking to her, and she debilitates him with a stun gun to his... she hits him with a taser in the balls. It's quite funny. Angel arrives to help Cordelia, and Billy touches Angel's face, but he is unaffected, having long since lost his capacity to feel hatred. As Angel and Billy fight, Lila shoots Billy dead before Cordelia can get a clear shot in with her crossbow. Fred forgives Wesley for the fight. Wesley remains concerned that violence is a part of him. He doesn't know who he is or how to return to life as it was before. So, what did you think of this episode, Dave? Because this was a super fun, not at all fucked up episode.
Well, there, Paul. This kind of went through the particular thing that most typical kind of shows touch upon nowadays and around this sort of time of trying to be inclusive, trying to be concerned with women's issues and other particular things like that, and taking the point of men causing the problems. And in most cases, it was pretty bad. And then Wesley gets affected. Who?
Yeah.
Just getting the cases of this is the complete reason why this was the Halloween episode.
Is it because it becomes The Shining?
I would then. It took an aspect of that. Pretty much any craze cycle slasher fic or movie that goes with that sort of case, they're just, oh. it was definitely exciting to see with Wesley's reaction to things, Gunn being affected by it, just all the action that happened, just craziness. But
Okay.
out of all of it, I think the interesting bit was Cordelia's part in it all, where aspects of the story came up of when she first gets the vision of this murder happening, it was weeks in the past that this happened, and she's just getting informed about it. And the reason was because Billy caused the incident that they released themselves, so Cordelia could be healed from her case that Wolfram and Hart caused to her.
Yes.
So she feels obligated to try and do something to fix it, which noble and whatnot. And just her case of dealing with all of it was empowering. Not even just with women sort of cases, just the case of I know what shit needs to be done, and she does what needs to be done. Just amazing for her character to see her go through and see all that sort of stuff from there.
Yeah, no, we've totally seen Cordelia become more like her transition from like or her evolution, I should say, from like the first season of Buffy to now is incredible. Like she goes from being this like vapid cheerleader to in this episode she's pretty freaking badass.
Indeed, but she never loses the skills that she gained as a gym cheerleader.
That's
With
my favorite thing.
just at the start, it's like ready, okay, all the sword slashes.
Angel's like, well, this is a little bit more difficult than being a cheerleader. And then she just like does like all these moves he just showed her, and he's like, well, fuck.
Okay, keep it in mind.
Yes. Yeah, I quite like this episode. It's really good. And there's a lot of very clear references to The Shining in it because we see Wesley hacking up a door with an axe and stuff, which is frickin' terrifying.
With that, and it continues to build a bit more on Fred's characterization within the group, where before all the crazy stuff happens, Wesley has concerns of being attracted to Fred for her intelligence and all the particular stuff from there. And before going crazy, you see the chemistry between the two, and it's like, oh, this would be great to see. And then he goes crazy, and you're like, oh god, this is going to throw a wrench into things. But aside from her concern and hesitancy to try and do certain stuff like that, her knowledge and capability to go through that sort of stuff was amazing. The particular scene I think of is Wesley breaks into the room and sort of comments about her saying, when you're in a stressful situation, you go hide in a tiny spot, opening up a closet, expecting her to be there, only to find her behind him and be like, in most cases I probably would, but you're also forgetting I'm good at building stuff, doing Home Alone fire hydrant, smacking him in the face, knocking him out.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool that like Fred saves herself from both Gunn and Wesley, and then uh, Lila's the one who gets the kill on Billy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's really clever. I think that's a really good way to put this together. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I thought this episode was really good. It's very much a standalone episode, but it's well put together.
Indeed. And again, there most likely would be people that would probably argue with certain cases of, oh, they make the men too bad in these sort of situations, or women empowerment craziness with that. But even with that, I sort of felt empowerment from even of that sort of stuff of something facing down against you and just needing to go at it and take care of it with what capabilities you have. So I think on whole it works fairly well, though I'm sure there would most likely be a person or two that could comment about it and bring up issues with it.
See, which I okay, like I'm sure there'll be people who'll be pissed off because but like Fred doesn't win by being stronger than either Wesley or Gunn. She wins because she's smarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she tricks both. Well, no, Fred or Gunn, she just kind of knocks out with a fucking like coffee table leg.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do like that Gunn realizes what's happening and he's like, "Oh shit, you have to knock me out."
He sort of knows the situation and is stuck there, but knows the problem that would be caused if he was affected too much from this. And it's good to see that aspect from him as well.
Yeah, I love that awareness of him going like, "Oh shit, you have to do this." Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of really good character stuff happens in this episode. Alrighty. So, if there's nothing else about this episode, oh boy, you know how this episode was a real nice, chill, not at all emotionally draining time.
Supposedly, why do you mention?
Well, next week we'll be discussing a little episode called Offspring.
Oh no, I have an idea where this is going.
Well, while Angel and the crew are researching a prophecy predicting the imminent arrival of a being who may have a profound effect or a profound impact on the world, Darla, pregnant and angry, arrives at the hotel looking for Angel. Baffled by Darla's condition, Angel turns to Lauren for some insight on the situation, while Darla gets a sympathetic ear from Cordelia. Unaware that Darla is still killing more people. Also, more of Angel and Darla's past is displayed when they murdered an Englishman's family back in 1767, in which the man, Daniel Holtz, begins a lifelong crusade as a vampire hunter slash killer on their trail. Darla's gonna show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oh boy. Oh boy, we're getting close to a big episode.
Duly noted. This isn't the one?
No, we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks. But the episode you want to be on the lookout for is an episode called Lullaby.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
that'll be in a couple of weeks. So until then, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.